Welcome and thank you so much for joining House of Muse. We are going to talk about collecting and investing into NFTs, and of course I'd like to start with introduction, and if possible can you include in your introduction what collecting means for you, and are you collecting anything else aside from NFTs? And we can go in the order of appearance on the screen, so Ntentart, why won't you start?
Okay, so I am Erin Sell. I am co-host of the Nifty Chicks. We are a podcast that is all about women and bringing more women into the NFT and crypto space. A little background about me: I was a producer for the Bad Crypto podcast and the Nifty show for about 4.5 years or so. And so I've been in the crypto space for basically about that time, 4 to 5 years, and really started getting into NFTs last year and started the show. For me, collecting, I really only collect NFTs, and as you can see from my background, primarily women projects. I do have other projects as well, but I just love the women-led projects, and yeah, so.
Well, welcome, Erin. So let's set the ground rules. Should I call you Ntentart, or because on your podcast this is how you introduce yourself, or Erin?
Either way.
Awesome.
You can call me Erin, or you can call me Ntentart.
Got it. Awesome. Okay, Katya, welcome to our circle.
Hi everyone. First of all, it's such a great circle to be in. I'm Katya. I'm a member of Red DAO, and going back a little bit in history, I started in crypto in around 2016, and I started mainly from the investing and finance side, so mainly investing in like layer 1 blockchains. I'm also partnered in P2P Capital, which is a private investing firm that supported all the major layer 1 blockchains and provides infrastructure for them from P2P validator. But then, as later, the NFT space was developing, and I realized that I'm personally very interested in the space, while our investment thesis is much more like technically focused in our investment firm. So I started to join the DAOs to just get this hive mind and see what people think about different NFTs. And I think that collecting together is actually so much more fun than collecting individually. So I'm all into like DAOs and the hive mind of people who are also passionate about different NFTs, because I'm a member of Flamingo DAO too, which is a general NFT collecting DAO, but also Noise DAO, for example, which is music NFTs. And it's incredible how you can find people who are passionate about different areas and so knowledgeable there. So that's what I do now, collect with DAOs and personally too, but not as much as through DAOs.
Awesome, thank you so much. Erica?
Hi, good morning. Katya, the birds chirping in the background is so beautiful on your audio.
Yeah.
Thank you, Summer.
So beautiful. My name's Erica Reiling. I'm an artist. I live in New York City. I have an NFT collection. It's called Cryptovenus, and I launched it in February of this year after spending about 6 or 7 months just sort of getting to know the space and seeing how I could fit in authentically and how I could maybe add some value, or at least create a project that I thought that I could really relate to, a PFP project that was sort of my vibe and a little bit different, and just trying to, sort of find my way in the space. And since being here, I found a lot of amazing communities other than mine, and it's been exciting to join those communities through collecting their NFTs. So I typically, first, I'm very art forward, so I'll look at if the art is amazing, then I get really excited about it, and then I look to see what the community is like. But typically I collect based on the art first, and I also really like to support smaller artists who maybe don't have the platform or don't have the marketing skills, or whatever it might be, and help to uplift them by collecting their work and sharing it with my audience. So sort of two different ways of looking at it, getting to get into some cool communities and also just supporting other artists, which I think is so important.
Hi, everybody. My name is Blue Moon. I'm a founding partner of Ntentart. We are an art, tech, and sustainability forward NFT artist collective that's based out of Berlin. And we mostly focus on generative art, although more recently I've been focused on a project called #OneDropNFTs, which is a movement to destigmatize menstruation through discussion and through art and the power of Web3. When it comes to collecting NFTs, I'm a big collector. I've been collecting NFTs for about the past year, a little over a year. And I also am a big fan of the women-focused PFP or NFT communities. And when I'm looking at a collection, I'm definitely looking at the community, who's in it, and also the art. There's a lot of different factors, and I'm sure we're going to get into it later on in the session.
Oh, we will. Thank you so much for sharing. I just want to add that we are a very open conference. I'm sure there are a lot of people who are watching us right now and they're making their first steps in the space. So don't be shy, feel personal. You can be personal, you can share your personal stories, you can add to conversation, you can ask your own questions. And yeah, let's have fun for the upcoming hour. Thanks so much for joining us. I recently spoke to an art collector because this whole space of NFT collecting is so new compared to, overall collecting things, art, different objects. And he told me something that shocked me. He said, it doesn't matter what it looks like. If there is a strong community behind it, I'll buy. So what do you think about this statement? And is it the rule that you follow as well when you collect NFTs?
I can answer that question first. I think that there are a lot of people who think this way. That's how we have seen a lot of people come behind communities like the MFers or Goblins, and I think that to a large degree, the NFT community is about community. To some people, it's not as much about the art, right? To some degree, people will see themselves in a PFP, they identify with it, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it has to look just like them, right? Like, there's so many different ways that art can reflect our inner selves. And for some people, they don't care about what it looks like, or maybe even they like that it's not necessarily like aesthetically pleasing. And the main value that we're seeing here with these 10K PFP drops is the community, the other people who are also investing in those same NFTs, and that you're going to be able to interact with in an exclusive way in the Discord or however the community has their events or the way that their community is set up. And that's huge. So to a certain degree, it is the other people, the rest of the people who are investing, that people are paying that money for to invest into the community. I personally, though, I do like opening my wallet and seeing beautiful things and things that reflect me. And so personally, it's not my interest, but I completely understand those who are interested in that kind of thing.
This resonates.
So I would agree. Oh, go ahead, Katya.
Okay, I'll just add a quick comment that it just resonates so much with my thoughts about this. And I said in another podcast that I think digital fashion, for example, is here to, first of all, bring a lot of women into the space and elevate the space aesthetically, because I have a lot of respect for the big community projects and like whatever, for example, Yoga Labs did with Bored Apes. It's an incredible movement. But also, as an art lover, I'm not necessarily appreciative of like monster monkeys or zombies, and sometimes I want to see something that's also aesthetically pleasing for me. And I think it's great that the NFT space now is so diverse that you can find different communities and different art for different collectors and different eyes. And I noticed personally that female collectors, they pay a little bit more, I think, attention to the aesthetical appearance of the NFT.
So I will say this, because I've been talking to all kinds of women in the space, and I hear over and over again, and I know how I buy, and that is I hear we want PFPs or NFTs that look like us. And you can see, I mean, the NFTs that I buy are, okay, first off, I have two things. So I mint, and every time I mint, I am not necessarily satisfied because I end up getting mints that I don't like. And it's not that I don't like them, it's just that they don't look like me. So then I end up going back in and buying on the secondary the NFT that I actually want. And so personally, I think that I agree with you, Blue Moon, and the fact that yes, and I think that I don't know, like I think about like the Bored Apes and like Goblin Town and all these projects that I mean, I understand that they're worth something, and it's the community that you're buying into, but it's not necessarily the art, right? That's my opinion on it.
This space is so speculative too, and people get into it for different reasons. Some people collect because they're looking to flip it. Some people collect because they really love the art. Some people collect because they love the community, or they see the founders and know that they're building something that could be astronomical, and they want to get in on the ground floor. So there's so many reasons, and they're all valid for why someone would want to collect. But I think it is interesting as an artist to see some of the things that rise really quickly, and it's almost shocking. And then you're like, okay, well, they got people really excited about it, and they had something cool to offer. And then when the community gets really riled up, they're more apt to promote it across their socials and get more people involved. So every successful project has had an edge in some way that really drew people in. So it can be for so many different reasons. It's all people's personal preference.
Yeah, I'll also say this, that as more women come into NFTs, we're going to see naturally a lot more femininity, or even like, let's say, feminine motivations. And I think that beautiful artwork, that beauty is a feminine quality that, yes, I do think that we're going to be seeing that more in the future as more women and feminine people are entering into this space and taking those values and applying them to the crypto and NFT space. But I think we can all agree that until this point, it has been a really male and masculine dominated space. And in that way, they're really valuing like money, value, and like, they're seeing the dollar signs go up and up and up. I don't think that's the feminine perspective as much. It's more of a masculine perspective. And so I can't wait for more people to get into the space so that we can see more diversity, not just in the art, but also in the kinds of the way that things are speculated on and how we're seeing value in different communities and pieces of art.
I actually just had this conversation last night with a couple men that are in the NFT space. And basically we were talking about the difference in how women buy versus how men buy. And women tend to want something that looks more like ourselves, versus men buy based on the possibility of value. Right? They buy based on they may get a very rare mint that ends up being very valuable. Whereas women, I mean, I'm not saying that women don't want that, because we do, right? Like we want the rarity and we want it to be valuable, but that's not the number one driver for us in purchasing, I don't think.
I think that also feminine people tend to be more more involved with their identity and identity, displaying your identity, representing your identity. And I think that's also a big part of this as well.
It's important also to remember where all this movement was coming from, like where Web3 was coming from and just the crypto industry was coming from, like the crypto anarchy movement, like 10, 15 years ago. And a lot of early collections, like CryptoPunks, they reflect the values of those early movements, one of which is rejection of authority and also rejection of traditional values, aesthetical values, rejection of traditional art. And that's why maybe a lot of early collections are kind of mocking the traditional aesthetical values of the art, and they show us a rejection of what is, the audience used to perceive as art. As we can see it, I don't think it's so much even like male or female. I think it's just the early movement. In like contemporary art, it was the same when the movement started, and there were, do you remember there was like NiFTy? I forgot the last name of the artist, but he put his shit in the cans and put it in a museum. And that was his form of rejection of, whatever we perceive as art. So I think it's part of that. And just bringing more eyes and more opinions will only benefit it. For example, I know a lot of male collectors who don't appreciate this type of art, and they like more like aesthetically pleasing things. So I think it will get blended in. It's just the roots of the movement that are showing.
Yeah, I think it's also important to say that everyone has different taste, and everyone's allowed to have, you could have a vast array of, your collection could look completely different. Some of the pieces that are more rudimentary, or you would say like, who would want that? But people could have said the same thing about Basquiat or Jackson Pollock or George O'Keeffe, anybody. So it's really personal taste.
I think there are a lot of collections that are also commenting on the on culture and things that are happening, in real time too. So, for example, we saw the God Hates NFTs.
So funny. I was just thinking of them.
Collection that came out that was kind of in response to or reaction of this fake protest that was made at the NFT NYC conference, where people were, protesting God hates NFTs and like all these negative things about NFTs, and people went wild over it. And that was something that happened at a specific time, and then we see that meme explode into a 10K PFP project, and then a community forming out of it. And so that's another reason why people are jumping in and investing in some communities as well.
I wonder with that if it was the chicken or the egg. Like if you had the publicity stunt to get their thing going. I had that thought. Who knows? I don't know, but it's a funny thing.
Yeah, I mean, all the thoughts are great, and I agree with Katya. I hope it will all blend in. And why can there be both community and interesting, beautiful, meaningful art that comes with it, right? So let's hope for the best. I think we're all making a difference in the industry one way or another. And let's move on to the next question. I don't know if you ever experienced, but I feel like right now when a guy wants to impress the girl in Web3, they try to show their NFT collection. That's just like a new move. So ladies, how about we show off our NFT collections? Please share your favorite pieces in the collection, and maybe why you picked them and how you see your collection evolving in long-term and short-term, recession part of history.
I'm pulling up my OpenSea now. But it's funny, when I'm in...
Oh, nice.
When I'm at NFT conferences, I actually often ask people to show off their NFTs, because it's kind of like showing pictures of your children, where like some other people like don't want to see them, but I'm like, I want to see them. I want to see pictures of your babies, and like your favorite pieces. Okay. My OpenSea...
So I feel like mine are already on display. The majority of them, although I actually
it's easy for you.
Right. It's funny because last night I actually was uploading. So for those that don't know, these are all mix tiles and super easy. I just like upload them on my phone and then order them, and they're here in a few days. So I just actually ordered some new ones. But my favorites are, as I mentioned, my favorites are the ones that look like me. And I have gone and bought all these on the secondary market, but this is my U is one of my favorites, my crypto chicks. I love the Fame ladies, even though they don't necessarily look like me. You can't really see them here because the way the screen is, but I would say my favorite projects are Fame ladies, and that one is definitely because of the community. I think that and their story. They have such a great story, and the fact that, it was created by these men that pretended to be a women-led project, and it was these Russian men that did it, and then they got found out that it was Russian men, and they abandoned the project, and it was taken over by the community, and these guys took off with all the money, but at least they left the project to the community. And so now it's been taken over by NFT Ignition and Board Becky. And so I just think the story's really cool, and I also love the artwork. It's so funny because I feel like there's controversy around a lot of the women-led projects. Like there's controversy around Crypto Chicks. I'm sure, I don't know if everybody's heard or not, but there's a rumor around the art was stolen from an artist, I believe from Brazil. And but now they're apparently working together, and her name is Amanda, and I know she's got another project called Phoenix, with an Fenix, I believe, is the project that she's working on now. But I don't know. I think it's funny that there's all this controversy around all the women-led projects, and hopefully we will get past some of that and move forward.
Not all.
I know, not all. A few of them.
Interesting. Yeah, definitely. I'll share a couple of my favorites. I really love Cryptocoven. I think they're so cool.
Oh, yeah.
I love their art. I love all the lore they have behind their project. They have an amazing story world, which hopefully they can turn into some sort of game someday, or maybe a movie or something. They have a really strong community of writers. I also really love Computer Cowgirls. It's done by a motion graphics designer, Molly Dixon, and all of the proceeds go to supporting reproductive rights throughout America, which is something that we need so much right now. And then I'll also just plug my own Cryptovenus. It's all hand painted, and we're building a cool community, and it's been a lot of fun to get into. But there are so many amazing art forward projects out there, especially, and I love to see what beauty women are bringing to the space.
I love that. And I'm writing all those down, Erica.
Yeah, I should take my notepad too. That's so cool. I love that we can see part of your collection, Erin. This is so cool. I should buy those too, like the mixed style. I was trying to do actually digital frames around the house, and none of them I liked, to be honest. I don't know. They look better on the computer screen, so I have to figure out still. But yeah, from the PFP perspective, I don't have a lot. I also have Crypto Chicks. You'll see it on my PFP. Again, honestly, I didn't read up too much about all the controversy, but I love that it looked like me, and it had curly hair, and, yeah, that's part of, I think, girls collecting NFTs. You just find something cute. But it was, the cool part, it was back then when it was not popular and not cool, and I bought it like decently not expensive. And then after that, it was cool that few of my besties had birthdays, and I bought them this PFPs as a birthday present. And then my hubby gave me Valentine's gift, a Kiss Precise, a very cool NFT that's math based, and they're all like generated based on a cool math formula. So I like those things with like stories behind it. But also, my favorites are probably in digital fashion NFTs. And yeah, this I can speak for a lot of time because we looked at a lot of digital fashion artists in Red DAO specifically. We did buy a lot of amazing pieces on Artisans. And yeah, it's not about the collection. Sometimes they're one-of-ones. But like Steffi Fung, for example, Scarlett Yang, Max Salzborn, a lot of digital fashion artists that I really love, but they don't do like 10K drops of PFPs. That's different. These are one-of-ones, unique pieces. And Blanc de Blanc, the artist from Artisan, I think we got a couple of her works for Red DAO. Amazing, really amazing outfits. And I think now it's all coming together because a lot of them are becoming wearable. Like, for example, the Pixel or drop, it's going to be wearable for Ready Player Me avatars. Then we're going to have like CloneX Artifact. They now let all the collectors download the 3D model, like the 3D buddies of their CloneX. So now we'll be able to dress them up. So now I'm even more interested in digital fashion garments because finally, like, you know, you cannot like print it on a mixed style and put it on the wall, unfortunately. So digital fashion was like hanging in our crypto wallets for too long. So I think this is what's going to be fun in the like coming year or two.
Yeah, I'm also really excited about digital fashion NFTs. I don't have a whole lot right now, but I'm definitely looking to expand my collection. When it comes to my favorite NFTs, I was just thinking, like, I'm a biracial person, and sometimes it can be really hard to find representation in artwork like this because I don't really look like the white girls and I don't really look like the Asian girls. And I was just kind of like going through my NFTs and like, okay, which ones are my favorite? And they definitely tap into like not exactly like what my exact like facial features look like, but like other aspects. And so, for example, my name's Blue Moon, and so I'm definitely drawn to the NFTs that have like more blue traits or like blue skins. And so I really like this one that I minted from Stardust Society. Like they have this like really beautiful like periwinkle alien skin, and then this one is my favorite from Boss Beauties, and she's like an artist like me, and she's blue and like she looks like Mystique, you know, from Marvel or from X-Men. And then this is my favorite crypto chick that has the blue hair and the blue lips, and this is my favorite Women Rise one that has like this, knight motif, and I definitely
So unique.
Yeah, this one.
That Women Rise is so unique. Yeah.
This is the only one that I bought off secondary. I minted a bunch, and then I saw this one, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to have it. It's so cool. And especially because I really love, like, night stars and aurora motifs. This is my WoW that I use as my main PFP because it's one of the ones that I've had for the longest. And it also is one of the projects that does feature like a bald head for a woman, which I think is really cool. Mm-hmm. And then I also just like I'm actually kind of a big fan of like Gutter Cat Gang. Also, they have this kind of like street vibe, which is really cool. And I like, that this one has the pink background and this one has this like really cool puffy pink coat, and they're just so funny to me. And then this is my Crypto Berliner from Crypto Citizens. It's a Bright Moments collection, and this one really has like the Berlin vibes with the Berghain Club in it. It's like a really exclusive like club, and definitely has like the whole Berlin thing. And I also wanted to show off my Computer Cowgirl piece, which is, one of the things that I'm trying to do with my NFT collecting is actually like make a real difference in the world, right? And so some of the pieces or some of the collections really have real world value. So this one is, I think, raising money to like a abortion fund or like abortion access fund. And this one here is my Heal Pass from Code Green, and they're working on they're working on doing more like green initiatives and NFTs and have built a community around it, which I think is really, really cool. And then another one that I think is a really, really cool community that is powered by unique technology is Meta Angels. And they're about just like granting the wishes of the community of holders. And they have this unique thing that you can lend your Meta Angel to another, like to anybody who, wants it. And they're able to get some of the benefits of being a Meta Angels holder without, even if they don't have like the ETH to buy their own piece. So I was able to buy 2, and then I lent 1 to another community member, which I thought was really, really cool. And it's just one of the ways that we can use our collecting to increase access of NFTs to different people, and also to fund projects and initiatives that we really care about, like increasing abortion access or sustainability and green initiatives in NFTs and beyond.
Okay, oh my God. I'm a little bit blown away, to be honest. First, I have 2 observations as I was listening to you. First, I think women are still very aesthetically oriented, and I feel like all the projects that you pick to collect are very beautiful. So I think we should not neglect this part of art and aim to create something beautiful, not just meaningful. And second, imagine if there were dudes instead of women discussing this topic. It will be like, oh yeah, I have friends because, we get access to this and that, and I only spend 100K on that, ha ha ha. And the way you talk about things are so different, and it really inspires me that you see the meaning and the beauty behind the project, and you really strive to make the world a better place. So thank you, ladies. That shows and proves the point that we need more women in a crypto community, and I hope we are making a shift right now by hosting a conference and getting together and sharing our knowledge. So let's continue sharing. Can you share with me your favorite historically NFT project? Why, of course, and also can you share like maybe 2, 3 NFT projects that we should be on a lookout this summer? I'm taking notes right now.
Okay, well, as they're searching for theirs, because I also have to look for mine, I do want to make a note. I have encountered very many men who are, equality-minded, who are investing in women-centered projects and female artists, like really hardcore, and that are really doing their work to make the whole world a better place through NFTs. So definitely, that's why I like to tend to the language of like femininity versus masculinity, and definitely the issues not like men in NFTs, or it's the issue sexism in NFTs, right? And there are many male allies. I just wanted to just mention that. So, okay, now I'm going to go look for my favorite historical piece.
So I'm trying to think. I mean, I always go back to, I guess, Fame Ladies as far as just because of their story. Because I don't feel like as far as NFTs go for women, I don't know that I can think of like a historical piece. I mean, like whenever I'm talking about NFTs and the history of them, I go to Bored Apes and CryptoPunks, and there are 2 projects that I heard about them, but I would have never bought into them in the beginning. Same thing with VeeFriends. I knew about VeeFriends when it first came out, but I looked at the NFTs and I thought, these are ugly doodles that Gary did, and I wasn't going to spend my money on it. And I should have known that, of course, because Gary's name is on it, it's going to be worth something eventually. But it just wasn't something that I was willing to invest in at the time. And, of course, I kick myself now. For projects, I can only think of one right now. I need another minute to think. But the project that I'm excited about is Diamond Handbag Club. I don't know if you guys have heard of it, but a friend is doing it, Angel, and I think it's really cool. So part of it, so it's virtual handbags that you're going to be able to take into the metaverse. But one of the best things that she's doing is she's actually they're going to be physical as well. So, for example, one of the things that she has is a dragon handle, and in the digital version of it, it breathes fire, which is amazing and awesome. And then I just saw the other day on her Twitter, they were printing the physical dragon, handle, and it's amazing to me, and I love that we'll be able to have the digital item and you'll be able to take the physical item out into the real world. And I just imagine walking in, I mean, obviously, you walk into a bar, probably not anybody's going to know that this is a digital item as well. But if I walk into, say, NFT NYC with that physical product, and people will be like, oh my God, that's so cool. You've got the whatever, version of this diamond handbag. So that's something I'm excited about. I think she's planning on launching this fall.
That's an interesting one. I didn't hear about that before. I should look it up.
Yeah.
Well, for my picks, I probably will be very non-controversial because I really like the classic collections like CryptoPunks and like Squiggles. But the reason for that is because I think they showed how the movement can be shaped. And that was a very good use case for all the other NFT projects. For example, Squiggles and Squiggle DAO showed what's the value of the community, and that the community is just not, it's not people hanging out in a Discord, but they can actually form a DAO, make a voting system with your NFTs, and take the project further. So I think that's why projects like that were very important, just to show the use case of what the community can actually do, aside from just showing the numbers. We have X number of people in our Discord. But then in terms of current, the more recent ones, I liked Dolce & Gabbana first auction. Also, why? Because they've set again, I like the projects that open up new doors and open up the doors for creators to show how. And the sale of the crown, of course, these were all very expensive pieces, but they open up the doors for the brands and designers to see how they can enter the Web3 and how they can leverage the community to come. And, I've never been interested in this brand, to be honest, but the way they started to engage with the community, I cannot say I'm completely a fan of their drops that they did after that, but I don't want to get into that. I really loved how they did the first auction, and I think it's really elevated the brands into this space. But some of the traditional brands that did NFT drops later on, I don't think they get Web3. So I think that was a good one. I liked how Prada is doing their NFT drops now, which is quite different from most traditional brands, because it doesn't feel like they're trying to do a cash grab from Web3 community by dropping something on this crazy crowd. They're dropping monthly limited edition items, 50 items per month, like physical t-shirts, which are crazy expensive, but then you get an NFT with this, and they're called time capsule. So I just like when people are and brands are experimenting with new approaches. And in terms of more Web3 native projects, I like Cyber Brokers. I think they were really, really cool. And in terms of their design and the story, and again, how they made the quests to uncover new features, and how they keep the community engaged, and you are part of the story from the beginning if you mint a cyber broker, which is also pretty amazing. And the story is never done. You don't know what they're going to do next, and this is what I like about it too. What else? And the hot projects that are going to come up, that's the $1 million question. I wish I could answer that. I'll be watching probably everything that Artifact is doing, just because I think they get the vibe of Web3 very well and get the vibe of the collectors very well. So everything that they drop so far is meaningful, like from the clones, and again, how they follow with the story, how they did the exhibition in New York with Gagosian of the clones. So they attract the traditional art collectors as well, but then they let you download the clone in 3D so you can dress it in digital fashion. So they keep innovating. And of course, the collaboration with Nike is only going to bring more like new cool kicks. And yeah, this is what I'm excited about. Oh, another one is Admit One. That's a project. I think it's led by G-Money. He's also a member of Red DAO and Flamingo DAO, and it's like a membership pass basically for cool people to do cool things in Web3 and hang out together. And I don't know exactly, and he doesn't reveal a lot of what he's going to do about it, but judging by his experience in Web3 and his values, back to what Blue Moon was saying, there are a lot of collectors, males, females, that just share the same values and the same approach to like collecting and diversity in Web3. I really like what he's doing, so I'll be betting probably on his ability to really create a great community around that.
I'm with Katya. I like CryptoPunks too, in terms of historic NFTs. I think it's funny to say historic because most of the stuff has really happened in the last 2 years, but CryptoPunks was back in 2017. I think they represented women, which is cool, and that women could buy into the project and find something that they like, that they resonate with, and then also just the way that project gained so much hype and was able to onboard so many people in the space because of all the celebrities that bought into it. I think the boom of what happened with Web3 and NFTs in 2001. I don't know if it would have been possible without CryptoPunks. It just had that little edge to it that people loved, whether they're cute or it represented, whatever it represented for people. I think that was a good thing regardless of how we might feel about the art. And then another project from last year that I thought was really interesting and innovative was Tyler Hobbs' Fidenza project, which was released through Art Blocks. And he had to write code to create an algorithm that would basically use AI to make a random masterpiece. A lot of them look like sort of squiggled lines with a certain color palette that he came up with. But some of them are incredibly beautiful, remind me of like Hermes scarves. And I thought that was just really innovative. And while I was creating my own project and writing the generative code for the 10,000 piece collection and how I was able to, it was like some of the things that came out weren't from my mind. It was like the computer created things based off of my drawings, and it helped me to expand my vision of like what's possible. So it's that man and machine balance that we're going to see so much more of in the coming years, which is some people think is a scary thing, but it can be a positive thing too, just to see more possibilities. So I was really inspired by him. And then coming up, I think all the digital fashion that's happening is really, really interesting. Mavion and Rebecca Minkoff are having their drop this summer. Mavion is Michelle Reeves, who's speaking in this conference, and also Andrea Siegel, and they partnered with Rebecca Minkoff, who's a huge name in fashion, and they're creating this digital drop that will also have some physical wearables. And I think that's something that people are excited about, being able to sort of get a 2-for-1 on some things, like with the Mavion project, where you buy the NFT and you get the digital accessory that comes along with it, and then you get a physical accessory down the road. So I think that's really cool. And then the World of Women and Fabricant drop is similar. They're doing a digital fashion, and I hope to get into that too someday. I'm gonna have to figure out how to do that. There's so much amazing software out there, and it's really cool that Web3 has opened up all these new opportunities for what's possible.
Yeah, I'm also excited about. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just going to add, I thought of another one that I think is cool, and that is Eyes of Fashion. I don't know if you guys have heard of that one, but it was funny because I remember seeing it a while back, and I originally was like, I don't really get it. But then I looked at it more and I love it now. I think it's so cool so it's like the eyes and then it like makes the dresses. And so I bought into it, and I really just love the whole idea of being able to go into the metaverse and like change what you're wearing and, put on, like, it's just like, I feel like it's like dress up in the digital world. Like, we get to play dress up, but we don't have to. I don't know about you ladies, but I know whenever I go to a store, sometimes you go to the store and you're like, I just don't feel like changing my clothes or trying on stuff right now. But it's fun in the digital space because it's so easy. You're just like, click a button and then you get to put on something new.
Yeah, especially if we really are going to be spending time in the metaverse, with the way some people think we are, taking business meetings or, going to concerts like here and there. If you have COVID and you got to go to a concert, you watch from home in your goggles or whatever. But if you had a full wardrobe and you could expand and show your personality, yeah. Go ahead, Blue Moon. Sorry.
Yeah. I was just saying, like I said, I'm really interested in the fashion NFT world. And it's one of the avenues that I really want to get into a lot deeper. I think it is important to distinguish like how the different brands are approaching it in a different way. So Eyes of Fashion is a 10K PFP project, and they're really focused on rewards for their holders, which I think is really fun, and a lot of community engagement happening there. And then you have Fabricant, which is always digital, never physical. And what I like about their perspective about it is that it's a way to fight the pollution and environmental destruction from the fashion industry by only producing really cutting edge, beautiful digital artwork. And so I think there's lots of stuff happening with like NFT fashion. And then obviously we have, established brands that are getting into this space in different ways, and I think really being creative. What I really want to see is a lot more transformation and innovation for, issues that we experience in real life. So fighting pollution, environmental destruction, increasing equality, decreasing inequality, and we can do this with the power of NFTs. So I think that's really, really fun. When I was just thinking about, my favorite historical collection, my partner and I, in our artist collective, we're really big on generative art and live code generative art, like what you were talking about with Tyler Hobbs' Fidenza. These are very important works, actually. So when you're looking at, I think just in the scheme of what we have, what we're looking at in NFTs, there's like one art, and there's a lot of physical artists who are doing like digital translations of their art. And then we have these like digital native collections, and long form generative art is a part of that umbrella of generative art that 10K PFPs live in. And we also have other kinds of generative art like, oh no, now I'm blanking. But yeah, long form generative art where it is created by code. And Tyler Hobbs is definitely a really excellent example of an artist who creates artwork in this way. Another place to find them is in Art Blocks. Art Blocks is known to have a lot of amazing artwork that is this long form generative art code. You can also find it on Tezos for much cheaper, actually, and for very similar quality of art, especially on the platform FX Hash. So if you're looking for generative art on the Tezos blockchain, you can look at FX Hash. Jiwa, who is a member of my artist collective, just came out with a project called The Televangelist, and I think that this one is really interesting because it has a narrative to it. It's like a whole narrative that likens us in Web3 as evangelists for getting people into Web3, but then it kind of takes in this televangelist persona, and then it tells a story. The generative art on the screen tells a story, and it has all these like hilarious trait names. And I think this is something that I really want to see more in the generative art world. I think there are a lot of artists who are letting the art kind of like speak for itself, or letting people bring in their own meanings to it, which is going to happen this way or that way. But I think one thing that we're a little bit starved for is context and narrative in these generative art forms. And so that's a really important part of it. And, it's not that we want to be fed what to think or feel about the piece, but context and narrative is really, really important, just in terms of like, as human beings, we use art to tell stories, and it's so much easier to tell that story as an artist when you are including it in your art piece instead of letting other people kind of fill in the blanks. But to answer the original question about a piece, I actually didn't choose a long-form generative art piece. I did just want to go into all of that, though, just to talk about how important I think it is. But I think my favorite historical project is Long Neck You Ladies, actually, by Nyla Hayes. And I picked this piece to show because it has some qualities that are really unique. So, like, obviously, all of the pieces have this really long neck, which is her signature style, but it has the green skin, which is a reference to her favorite dinosaur, the Brontosaurus, and also with the long neck, and then it has this like paint splatter makeup on it. And the reason why I really like this one is because when she created this collection, she's a 12-year-old Black girl. And I think that in the traditional art world, somebody like her would have easily been overlooked. But with the power of NFTs and the community in NFTs, Nyla was able to make her artwork go mainstream. She's now like a Time magazine NFT artist in residence. And so she's being lifted up, and she's going to be able to bring her perspective and her artwork to the rest of the world. And this was only possible through community in NFTs and like other people, the community kind of rallying behind her and saying like, yes, this is what we want, instead of, a very small number of people at the top dictating to everybody else who we want to see art from. And then also I have to mention, like, my partner invested in some apes like early on, and we have seen amazing benefits mostly in the community. And so I really don't want to leave them out. I think that they get a lot of flack for being as big as they are. But the Bored Ape community is actually the community that I have had some of the coolest experiences in and made some of my best friends in the NFT space. And so I don't want them to be left out just because they're like the most popular, because at the end of the day, I think they really are bringing value. And on top of that, there is support for women. One of the founders is a woman, and there was, like, when I was at Ape Fest, I can't tell you how many times I was invited, like, hey, do you know that there's like a Bored Ape ladies brunch club or whatever brunch, like, and so there are women that are convening in the community, and I think that's also really, really important to mention.
One of the founders of Bored Apes is a woman.
Mm-hmm, yeah, so
I did not know that. That's cool.
Seneca was a woman who all the design is based off of, and they sort of, I mean, it's controversial if they sort of stole her art or not. But I didn't know that there was a founder that was also a woman.
Yeah, there's a lot of controversy around the Bored Ape art, so that's a whole other
whole other.
That's a different panel.
No, that's a totally different panel. But yeah, I think when they were first docs, the founder who came on to represent the team was the female founder. I can't remember what her name is, but yeah, she is often overlooked, I think. And also, like, as a female member of artist collective that has men in it, sometimes I feel like, okay, we focus a lot on all female teams. They're amazing. All female teams are amazing, but I think that also we should be giving credit to teams that also have like women on them as well, and credit to the women who are on the teams.
One more nice thing I'll say about Bored Apes, because I think it's cool what they did, and obviously they're huge, and they're huge for a reason. When they did their airdrop of the Bored Ape Kennel Club, all secondary sales from that free airdrop went to supporting animal shelters. So they do give back in their own ways, and I think it's awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I also
yes, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to add, I love what you said, Blue Moon, about long necky ladies. And I absolutely love the fact that in the NFT world, it does allow people of all ages to be successful. So, Nyla, like you said, was 12 when she launched Long Necky Ladies. We have had on the show Yasmin with Elvin, and I believe she was 13 maybe when she did her collection. And I love that like young girls have the ability to with Yasmin, I remember she told us a story of when her collection sold out, her mom came and picked her up early from school to tell her, and she gets called out of the classroom and she's like, oh God, did somebody in our family die? Like, what happened? I never get called out of school early. And her mom, just brought her out of school to tell her, like, your collection just sold out. How cool is that? And I love that, women of all ages or girls of all ages, people of all ages can be successful in this world. So.
Definitely. And by the amount of like little topics that you touch based on AI art, a combination of traditional designers and digital fashion, artists, communities, all of it, we can see that we are at the very early stage, and pretty much we're just like setting trends and setting ground rules for what is going to happen in the industry. And honestly, I feel like we could pull all these little topics and have amazing conversation out of each of them. But unfortunately, we need to wrap up here. And I want to close our panel with one last question. I saw some of the people who registered for the conference, and I know that there are a lot of artists among them. So I assume some of them already launched or want to launch their NFTs. So what advice as an art collector can you give to them to make sure that their art stands out on the marketplace and you'd be interested in buying it?
The number one thing that comes to mind for me is that longevity and consistency and community means a lot to me as a collector. And so if you are able to like stick through, whatever is happening in the market and are consistently showing up and supporting other projects as well, I as a collector notice that kind of thing, and that makes me want to invest. So, and bringing value, of course. And so even if there are a couple projects that I haven't invested in yet, but I want to, because the community members of those projects are like, oh, this is the best. And I see the longevity, and like as an investment, I'm not super caught up with like the financial investment, but the social investment is really big for me. And like, which communities do I want to be a part of? So I would say, support your early supporters, collaborate with like-minded projects. And personally, for me, it would mean a lot if I saw real world impact being made through your collection as well.
I agree with the real world impact. That's super important. And there was another thing. We were on the Red DAO panel lately. I think Artisan hosted it actually, with the G Money. And he said, a thought that stuck with me for months after that, when asking for the same thing, because he's a known collector, like a lot of people were just jumping in with questions like, what shall we do? How can we like sell out our artworks? And he said, the mindset should be start with giving to the space, not taking. Like, don't think of, okay, I made this and now I need to go and sell this. Like, how do I sell this? Just come, forget about your own personal interest of selling your artwork, but engage with the community. Who is your collector? Who is the community you're building for? What are your favorite NFT projects? What are your favorite PFPs? Come and join these communities. Talk to people. What do they love? What do they appreciate? How can you be helpful? maybe some of your artworks really work well with those PFPs. Maybe you can create a free accessory for your favorite PFPs. I think that your collector will come, but first you have to start like finding your space and finding your like own value for the community, and then it will come back to you.
I can speak more.
I agree with all of.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say I can speak more as an artist in the space rather than a collector. I could speak also as a collector, but as an artist, I think one of the most important things is to remain authentic and to not be looking around in the space to see what everybody else is doing. You're an artist, make art, do something to move the space forward, share something that's inside of you, share a perspective that we haven't heard before. We definitely need to be uplifting new voices at this point in history. We need to be hearing from everybody, not just the very small, limited group that we've been hearing from. But totally agree, there needs to be a value add for the space. So whether that's through community or through innovation or through philanthropy, 3 things I'm trying to do all at once for our project, but really giving back, and generosity is the best investment. So what can you do to pour your heart into your project and not just have it be a rug pull or just trying to get your bag? And that's all valid too if it's a stepping stone to something bigger. But I don't think that I think that the more integrity and authenticity we all can have, the farther this space will go. So I would just encourage everyone to be true to yourself and spend a lot of time alone, really figuring out what you want to build and why. Really figure out what your purpose is and how you can contribute to the space in a meaningful way. That's my 2 cents.
I agree with everything all of you ladies have said. I definitely think that community is one of the, I mean, we've talked about it over and over, and I really do think that it's the most important part of NFTs. It's about finding a place where you belong, right? I mean, I think that's what we all want in this world, is to find our spot, our friends, the people that get us. And I know for me, just whenever I find other people into NFTs, I'm like, oh my God, you get it, you understand. And I have a lot of friends that they don't understand NFTs at all. And when I find somebody else that is in the space, it's such a great, it's just a great feeling, I guess, to have that connection. And especially even further when you find somebody in NFTs and they're in Crypto Chicks, or they're in Women Rise or Long Necky Ladies, you have that additional connection. So I think it's all about building that community and finding that connection.
I have one more thing to say as well. Anybody who is listening to this panel, collecting and investing in NFTs, I really want you to walk away with this knowing one thing, that you as a collector, as an investor, have so much power to influence the market and to influence your communities. I've definitely bought NFTs because one of my friends posted it to Twitter, and this is the way that communities can blow up, is people getting excited about it and tweeting about it. And so maybe even when it's not trendy, or when that particular community isn't doing their floor isn't doing the best or whatever, none of that matters. It's about the community. It's about you as a collector, as an investor, and you being excited about it and connecting with other people in the community, connecting with the founders is super, super powerful. And you can really influence the market in so many ways, and especially just kind of voting with your ETH or whatever cryptocurrency that you are buying your NFTs with, which NFTs are valuable to you, and what you want to do with them, I think is really, really important, and you should not underestimate.
Any final thoughts, or it's a wrap? Well, it looks like it's a wrap. Honestly, I just could continue taking it all in. You have no idea how much I wanted to just jump in and start sharing ideas, especially about digital fashion. But it all warms my heart that there are so many like-minded people, and there's so much femininity and feminine energy in this industry, because I can clearly see the difference in the line of discussion, the way we build this conversation organically, and the points that we brought up. So thank you so much, lady. You have no idea how much it means for me. Thanks for coming to the House of Muse. I hope it's going to be an annual tradition, because I already see a lot of meaning and beauty in this event. And yeah, thanks for coming.
Thank you so much for
Thanks
putting
for
this
having us.
together.
Thanks.
Thank
Yeah.
you.